Hi boys and girls, welcome to Social Studies. This week in Social Studies we're learning about a few things including famous Americans. And today we're going to learn about a person named Eleanor Roosevelt. She was the wife of Franklin D. Roosevelt, one of the presidents of the United States. And she herself had an amazing story. She did a lot of amazing things in her life. And she's a good inspiration for us to do good things for others. Let's read the book about her life story. A sad start. Eleanor Roosevelt was born in New York City in 1884. Her family had a lot of money, but her life wasn't easy. Her father wasn't home much and had some troubles. Her mother made her feel bad about her appearance and called her Granny. Now the word appearance means how she looked. So isn't that mean? Is it mean or nice, boys and girls, to tell someone they don't look good? That's really mean, and it's really sad that her mother would make fun of how she looked, and she called her Granny as well. When Eleanor was 8, her mother died suddenly. She and her 2 younger brothers went to live with their grandmother. One of her brothers died just a year later. Eleanor's father died just before she turned 10. And in this picture, the label here says Elliott Roosevelt, Eleanor's father. So this was her dad. So we can see that Eleanor had a really sad life. At the beginning of her life, she lost a lot of people, her mother, her father, and one of her brothers. School days. Eleanor was taught at home until she was 15. She then went to an all-girls school in England called Allenswood Academy. Eleanor loved learning, traveling through Europe, and being with her friends. She learned important skills and how to be independent. Now, what does that word mean, boys and girls? Independent. That means that you're able to do things on your own. You've learned a lot of skills and ways to do things so that you don't have to have a lot of help in life to do the things that you need to be done. And so she was independent. She could do things on her own. And this picture, the label says Eleanor's class at Allenswood Academy. And here's Eleanor. Back home. After finishing school, Eleanor returned to New York City. She became a volunteer teacher. Now, what does that word mean, boys and girls? Volunteer. That means that you're doing something without getting paid, that you're happy to do something to help someone out or help people out, and you don't have to get paid to do it. You just want to help. So she was a volunteer teacher. She was a teacher just to help out without getting paid. She also volunteered for many other groups. At 20 years old, Eleanor married Franklin D. Roosevelt. They'd have 6 children, but one died as a baby. So here she is, and here's her husband. Working to help others. Franklin became a politician, and Eleanor kept working too. When the First World War started, she helped by working for the American Red Cross. She also raised money, worked with political groups, and taught history. Eleanor continued her work through the Second World War. The new First Lady. Eleanor became the First Lady of the United States in 1933 when Franklin, her husband, became president. Eleanor was a new kind of First Lady. She traveled the country to learn what changes people needed. She worked for the rights of black people, women, and the poor. And here, in this box here, this text box, is a quote from Eleanor Roosevelt, something that she said. And here it is. We must have equal citizenship for anybody in our country. That is really good that she believed that, and she worked to help everyone out, that everyone would have the same opportunities in our nation. Eleanor even had a newspaper column called My Day. She wrote 6 days a week about social and political matters for nearly 30 years. In her 12 years as First Lady, she helped many people and influenced many of the choices her husband made. Now, there's a couple terms here that we should look at to remember what they mean. The first one is First Lady. What does that mean? Well, she was a First Lady because her husband was the president. And if the president were a woman, her husband would be the first man. Okay, so the First Lady or man means their spouse or their husband or wife is the president. And then influence. What does that mean? Well, let's read this part again. In her 12 years as First Lady, she helped many people and influenced many of the choices her husband made. So when you influence someone, you try to help them to do this and not that. You try to get them to do a certain action that you think is right. And so she influenced her husband, and she tried to get him to do certain things that she felt was going to help a lot of people. After the White House. After Franklin died, Harry Truman became president. He gave Eleanor a job with the United Nations, the UN. While working with the UN, she helped create the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which says how people and countries should treat each other. First Lady of the World. Eleanor helped many people in her lifetime. She was called the First Lady of the World. By the time she died at age 78, she'd written 27 books and more than 8,000 columns. Today, she's remembered as one of the greatest leaders of the 20th century. All right, boys and girls, that's a great story about a great person. Now, in your life, how would you like to help people? What do you think you could do to help people to have a better life? Go ahead and get a piece of paper, crayons or marker, or a pencil, and draw a picture of what you would like to do to help people in your life. And you can write at the bottom what that is, sound out the words using the letters that you know, and you can upload that. And thank you for joining me, boys and girls, today for Social Studies.